Greetings riders, Nick here with Pegasus Motorcycle Tours and Consulting, bringing you yet another motorcycle lifestyle gear review. What I have for you today is my very own 2015 Indian Scout. Now this is the Scout that the company came back in a big way with. As you know, the Scout has a glorious history to this day, holding the world record at the Bonneville Flats, the land speed record for an engine under 600 cc's. Now, this is astounding little detail. Most people don't know that the bike that broke the world record was made by a New Zealander in his garage, a man who purchased a 1920s Scout and built it with his own 10 fingers, made it the fastest machine to this day that holds that record. I think that's incredible. It's even better to hear that the company has partnered up with the man's nephew to build the new Scout to break the new record. Now that said, I think the Scout is an incredible machine, and it's worth remembering that history. It's worth being part of that history, and I think with the design of this machine, Polaris, the mother company, has really hit the nail right on the head. It screams that American muscle, American tradition. Keep in mind, Indian was America's first motorcycle company. You actually get that little detail here where it says 1901. That's when the company was established, a full 4 or 5 years before Harley began mass producing motorcycles. I think this machine is astounding. Look at these lines. Look how good this looks. You know, this is the bike that when you get off of it, you start walking away in the parking lot, you just have to look back and you have to see it. You like to park it right underneath the light because it just hits it beautifully. That's what we want. We want a machine that keeps you riding, that keeps you excited. The build quality is phenomenal. There's not a single weld visible here. This is just incredible. I don't know how they managed to do it, but you're going to see even the engine itself has this beautiful glittery shine almost. It's not black, it's not brown, it's metallic, it's different, you know, it's unique. Then you have these beautiful letters, and I only noticed this in the sun a while back, this beautiful logo. The paint job, my God, the paint job is just incredible. It looks almost as good, if not better, in the moonlight as it does in the sun. If you've ever seen $200,000 Mercedes-Benz AMG, this reminds me of that. It's that kind of paint that itself calls for attention, and I think that's incredible. I go to auto shows for the sake of the paint, to be honest. The cars don't get me as excited nearly as the quality of the paint, and I think the paint job of this bike in particular, and this particular smoke gray paint, is incredible. I really regret that they cut it out because I don't think it's an option anymore after 2015. Also, the quality of the leathers is top-notch. I mean, that's something you don't get with some of the other motorcycle companies and bikes. They sell you the nice, expensive bike, you know, the V-twin, American muscle, and then you get this disgusting, cheap, horrible black vinyl, faux leather-looking imitation garbage for a seat. And I think it cheapens the whole feel, you know, the whole experience. I don't want that. I want leather. I want good leather that's going to last as long as the bike, as long as I'm going to be riding. I want my son to be riding on the same seat. I want these beautiful wrinkle lines to show how many miles I put on the bike. And I don't want to have to change it. I don't want it to be the first thing I have to change because it's butt ugly. So you get that with the Indian, you know. I actually went back there to get these saddlebags, and I mean, look at this. Look how thick this is. There's like 3 millimeters of skin right there. It's quality built, and you feel it. You feel it when you ride it. You feel it when you're just idling at a red light. People are staring. People always want to make a comment. You don't see too many of them on the street, which also makes it unique. I absolutely love this bike. I love this bike. I love it for it looks. I love it for the feeling. And most of all, I love it for the heritage. Now, there are some little details that make me a little bit unhappy. I think they could have really put a little more effort into it. And in particular, just small details, they're easily fixable or changeable, but I think those things could have been paid attention to a little more, and we wouldn't have to even have the negatives of a bike. Every bike has a negative, obviously, but these are things that easily could be avoided. For example, the mirrors themselves are kind of flimsy. They tend to get loose over time, and that's because they're on that simple ball joint that, you know, gets loose pretty quickly. That I'm not a huge fan of. The grips themselves, they're kind of skinny, to be honest. They just feel kind of small. They feel plasticky. I've had to re-glue my left one 5 times till now, and I don't know why that's the case. I love the fact that there's a logo. There's the beautiful Indian logo on everything. There's one on the mirror, there's one on the cover, there's one on the tank cap, there's one on the speedometer, there's 2 on the speedometer. It's everywhere. It's just plastered, but it's not done in an untasteful way. It's very tastefully done. You have beautiful logos here, this beautiful chrome. There's the logo here, the eye, the gorgeous eye, cursive. There's the 1901 established, again, playing off of that really glorious Indian history that I want to be a part of as a motorcyclist. I think it's amazing to be able to have a amazing historic conversation about the bike that you ride. And it's legit, you know. It is America's first motorcycle company. Let's not forget. Now, another thing that I dislike, and this is really me being nitpicky, when I ride, I actually see a little bit of the light from this little crack here. And I think that could have easily been, I don't know, made tighter so that you don't have to see that. It's, again, nitpicky, I realize, but I don't want to see light through these 2 chrome and black pieces. I want that to be, you know, closed. And another part that's kind of not all that nice is that you can actually see all of these wrapped cables here. I mean, like I said, you can't see through the bike. I don't like when you can see through the engine itself or the engine compartment. You don't get that with this bike. This bike is muscular, it looks beefy, it looks strong because it is strong. I also wish there was a way to make the stock cases and the seat perhaps lockable, because they are very easily removable. And unfortunately, here in Southern California and San Diego, motorcycle theft is so common. I think we're the nation's capital for motorcycle theft. And I've had friends get their bikes stolen from their garage when they're sleeping. I had friends get their luggage stolen from, you know, being in the supermarket for 20 minutes. So I wish that was addressed. You know, I wish there was an easier way to make these bags a little more secure, a little more permanent. Everything is removable, but a little more permanent. Another thing that I dislike, I've noticed here the chrome in this bend over here started to kind of show some lines, and I'm wondering why that's the case. The bike only has 1,500 miles. I mean, it's practically just broken in, so I don't expect the chrome to be showing any signs of fade, but it absolutely does. I actually do notice that as well, that the chrome starts to pit. I don't have this bike sitting outside. I do live by the beach, but it's not parked by the beach all that often. So I don't know. I think something that Indian could address and focus on a little more in the future. Now, the suspension of this bike also is fairly amateurly built. The back is very, very hard. The front is very, very soft. If this is not something that I could work with, then I don't think anybody heavier or bigger than me could work with it either. It's confusing. It doesn't work well together. And I think that's one part that Indian can really work on improving, which they have. They have been addressing that, as well as the stock tires being poor in wet weather. That's been slowly improved. Also, something worth noting is with the bike, you do get, for example, just arcing back to that quality of built and craftsmanship, you do get steel braided brake lines out of the box. And also, that's telling. Which bike will give you that? It seems to be one of those things that you immediately have to upgrade on other bikes. The seat, the exhaust, the brake lines, just to make it almost usable, but it shouldn't be that way, you know? I also wish that the levers themselves had adjustable knobs so that you can accommodate different hand sizes. I noticed that the clutch is very loose. I mean, I don't know why that's the case. I don't see a way to tighten it, to be honest. I wish it was hydraulic. You don't have to mess with it, to be honest. I think making it hydraulic is the new modern way to do it. So the lights are phenomenal. They really light up the road. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing there. The brakes are completely satisfactory for what I needed to do. This is a non-ABS model. I honestly prefer that. I like to squeal the rear wheel when I want to. I just enjoy sliding around. I enjoy sliding it into a parking lot, to be honest. It's just, I don't know. It's something that's safer. It's welcome for sure, but I don't need ABS. Again, people say you don't need it until you need it. Completely true, but you know what? I like to ride the motorcycle, and I like to feel every aspect of the bike. So this bike is phenomenal in that regard. You really do feel it The bike is not particularly heavy, it's not particularly light, but it's so well built and the weight is so low that anybody can manage it, really. Now you'll notice I added luggage and I added the luggage rack, and what I like about that in particular is that it allows me to carry a passenger, because I do have passenger pegs installed as well, if I want to. And I do that simply by just adding a gel pad. It's not comfortable for long haul, but it is comfortable for short trips to the bar, to the store, whatever. So the benefit of that is, you know, it gives you an excuse to turn some folks away. You know, you go to the bar and there's that not so welcome attention and take me for a ride, why don't we go for a spin? I don't have a seat, I'm sorry. On the flip side, you go to the bar and you know, you're right up there solo and you meet somebody and you need to take them home, and you can do that, you know, and I like that. I think the luggage rack is super classy. It's just a gorgeous bike. It's just a gorgeous bike. I mean, I don't think there's too many better looking bikes out of the box out there today. And when you take the luggage off as well, it's just this gorgeous silver color comes to light, and I think they did such a fantastic job. So in conclusion, phenomenal bike. And instead of me telling you what I like most about it, let me just show you what I like most about it. Can't get that feeling from too many bikes nowadays. Look at that. Look at that.